Hello, everybody, and welcome to episode 103 of Crunch Time. I'm going to be your host of today's episode. I am Tanner Dislin, and as always, I am joined by Sam Godsey, and we are the N326 duo. It was an interesting last weekend of football for us in particular. I think we've had better ones watching our teams play football, but we got a great episode for you guys. A lot of college football talk. If you remember and tune into last week's episode, we talked about how great the college football slate is. So we are going to dive into that a little bit. We'll touch on the NFL. We'll talk about our favorite teams who, yeah, not great for our teams this past weekend, but we'll get into all of that later. Of course, we got our players of the week. Pick them. We will get an update on standings, and then we have some questions at the end of the episode. So stay tuned for all of that. But before we dive into the games in the wonderful week of football that we previously had, of course, we're going to start with winners and losers. As always, Sam, who's your winner?
Yeah, there's a lot of winners this week, which we'll dive into later. I'm going to talk about an individual that kind of broke barriers when it came to the college football game, and that's Haley Van Voorhees. Sorry if I butchered your name, but she became the first woman non-kicker to appear in an SEC or an NCAA football game playing safety for Shenandoah University.
There you go.
Yeah.
That's
and
pretty impressive.
She recorded a hurry, didn't do much of, but still made on the field, made history on Saturday.
Yeah, I mean, I wish I knew more about the Shenandoah game that took place, but yeah, I mean, that's definitely worthy of being a winner, breaking barriers, as you said, and recording a hurry while at it. So props to you. I'm not even going to try and pronounce your name. What was her first name?
Haley.
Props to you, Haley. Well done. Congrats on being the first female NCAA player and that non-kicker. And that's pretty cool stuff. My winner of the episode, Sam. I hate to do this to you, but my winner is actually going to be underdogs because we had an interesting week in the NFL. Three heavily favored favorites ended up losing in their games. It was a disaster for all of those in survivor pools, myself included, got knocked out this week. But the Texans, who were 8.5-point favorites to the Jaguar, or 8.5-point underdogs, to the Jaguars, won 37-17. The Colts, who were, I think, 6.5-point underdogs to the Ravens, won 22-19 in overtime. And then the Cardinals, who were 12.5-point underdogs against the Cowboys.
It happened.
They won their game 28-16. But we'll dive more into that later. As we said, we're talking about our favorite teams. But yeah, so just at the surface level, not a great weekend for favorites.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, we had not even a starter for the Cowboys. We had Gardner Minshew, who kind of has always been one of those guys, in my opinion, that just never got his opportunity. And he took full advantage of it on Sunday.
Yeah. I mean, Ravens had no answer for Gardner Minshew. Minshew Mania, baby, was up in Baltimore. And that's, if he can get a spot, I mean, of course, we want Anthony Richardson to be as healthy as possible. But yeah, maybe he showed a few teams that are looking for a transition.
Minshew to the Jets?
Minshew to the Jets, dude. People are saying it.
It's Simeon time.
Trevor Simeon?
Yeah.
Is he on the Jets?
He just got signed today.
What's going on? Is everybody broken live on the pod? I didn't even know that Trevor Simeon is now a New York Jet. So there you go. I mean, we can get into this really quick, but there's just no way that Robert Saleh can look at that locker room and continue to put out Zach Wilson.
Yeah, you'd think, right?
I mean, it's funny. I saw a TikTok today. It was a video of his pro day.
Yeah,
the day where Zach Wilson fooled the world. An absolutely elite pro day.
Facts.
The dude just sucks. Hate to see it.
Yeah.
Well, let's transition to the negative side of things. Sam, who is your loser of this episode?
Yeah. He was a big winner on the field, but not so much after. And that is Mr. Ryan Day. he had a very interesting post-game comment. He called out 86-year-old Lou Holtz, saying, "I'd like to know where Lou Holtz is right now. What he said about our team, I cannot believe. This is a tough team right here. We're proud to be from Ohio. It's always been Ohio against the world, and it'll continue to be Ohio against the world."
Wow, I love that effort. It was, I mean,
Was
for
it
those people who
spot on?
haven't seen it. It was spot on.
I appreciate that.
opened up Twitter and I saw someone tweet, "This is why is Ryan Day yelling at me?"
Yeah.
It felt like he was yelling at us in our living room.
Yeah, definitely. So that happened. He gets absolutely flamed for it online, right? And then Lou Holtz comes with the clap back.
Oh, what did he say?
He said, "I can understand why he did it. He doesn't want to talk about Michigan 0-2. He doesn't want to talk about the big game coming up against Penn State and against Michigan again. He's a great coach. He's done a tremendous job. He's a great offensive mind. Yeah. I think he's doing a tremendous job. Ohio State's a good football team. I don't think they're a great football team. He can go after me all he wants."
I love it. Just play the
Savage.
dude. You got
Savage.
bigger fish to fry, man.
Yeah.
Talking about an 86-year-old man. That's funny though. That's pretty funny. I mean, great win for Ohio State. We'll talk about that later. But yeah, I mean, to play some sort of devil's advocate, like I think some of the things Lou Holtz said was a little out of pocket. It seemed like.
Oh, for sure.
Dude's 86 years old. What 86-year-old doesn't say stuff out of pocket? Yeah, you'd like to think Ryan Day can just kind of put that behind him and celebrate a big win with his team.
You'd think, right?
Nope, goes right to talking smack to an 86-year-old former head coach. So, yeah, definitely worthy. For my loser, Sam, I am going to go with the Oakland Athletics. Now, they have been a loser multiple times on this podcast between their awful play on the field, between their historically low fan interest, between their reverse boycott to show the city of Oakland that it is not their fault that ownership and the city don't put enough effort in the team for them to care. But if they did, they would care and provide a good audience. All of that stuff has been an absolute. I mean, it's been fun to watch, to laugh at, but also sad to watch because those poor people of Oakland losing their team, but also not being able to root for a pretty good team in a little bit. But to add to the list of things that the A's have done to make them losers, Miguel Cabrera of the Detroit Tigers is retiring after this year. Of course, a surefire Hall of Famer, won a Triple Crown, just an absolute legend of the game. And this last year in his professional career, he, of course, gets presents from a bunch of teams when he plays his last game at their stadium. I've been looking through some of the old gifts that other teams have got him. There was some pretty sweet stuff, like photo collages, huge donations. I'm talking about thousands, if not tens of thousands of dollars to his foundation. There was really cool one from Pittsburgh. He got like an old painting of a bunch of Pirates legends. They have a bridge right by their stadium. That's pretty famous. So a bunch of Pirates legends and then Miguel Cabrera all tipping their caps off the bridge. Like It's some really cool, thoughtful stuff. And then large donations to his charity. Then he gets to Oakland, where the Oakland A's decide to give him a bottle of wine. Now I know what you're thinking. A bottle of wine can be pretty nice. They can go upwards of what, $800-900, maybe $1,000. Of course, the Twitter detectives out there saw the label, went and found it online. It was a $90 bottle of wine from a professional baseball team. But that's not all. The kicker is that Miguel Cabrera spent 3 months in an outpatient treatment program for alcoholism in 2010. So they gave someone who went to rehab for alcoholism alcohol, and it was a $90 bottle as his retirement gift. It's just an unreal franchise. It is an unreal franchise, and it was pretty fun to see the internet just kind of all come together and laugh at the Oakland A's because that's just ridiculous.
Yeah, no doubt. Yeah, I didn't I knew about the wine, but I didn't know the backstory of why it was like, yeah, cheap bottle wine, whatever. But doing it to a former alcoholic who is in the national media where you know about it, that's a tough look.
Yeah, not great from the old Athletics, but maybe if when they get to Vegas, they'll be a little bit better gift givers.
Yeah, give a casino card to gambling addicts.
Yeah, go. I like that.
Go.
I like that. Maybe when Iowa comes to town, they'll give him
Oh, good,
they'll
good,
give
good.
him some poker
Yeah.
chips. Oh man, that's good stuff. Ready to talk some football?
Let's talk about
Let's talk about some football. This past weekend, there were 5 ranked top 25 ranked matchups, and then there was a 6th matchup with between Florida State and Clemson. That was Clemson is just outside of it, but of course we all knew this was going to be a great matchup. So we'll start there because that happened to kick off at 11 a.m. Central Time. We will go. We will go here first. So Florida State traveled to Death Valley, play Clemson, and came out victorious in overtime, 31-24.
Yeah, this one was a interesting one. My biggest takeaway is Jordan Travis seemed a little banged up in this one, and that's a huge concern for Florida State because they are on track to make the college football playoffs. Um, I mean, this was kind of their biggest test of a season. I know it went into overtime, but you got to factor in the fact Jordan Travis was hurt. He still played a great game 21 for 37, 289 yards, 2 touchdowns, and more importantly, no interceptions. But he did not look like the player we've seen throughout the first couple weeks of this college football season. I think he got banged up on his left shoulder, right shoulder, one of the two, and then also on his throwing hand. So banged up, but he powered through, got them a big win, big statement win, even though they were the highest seed. Being Clemson at Clemson's always a good win.
Yeah, gutsy. It was a very gutsy performance from Jordan Travis. I tell you what, Sam, watching this game, because we were watching it with about every game on our 9 TVs in our living room. We were watching this game, and right now I'm looking at the stats, and they tell the exact same story. There is no reason Clemson should have lost this game.
Yeah.
No reason whatsoever. Outgained them just from the eye test, absolutely dominated them. I mean, Florida State only had 22 rushing yards.
Yeah.
Right. I mean, that's obviously an area of concern if you're Florida State. But looking on the Clemson side of things, how'd you lose this game? Well, 2 things. I got 2 things. One, you had all the momentum in the world. You were up a touchdown and you were driving, fumble, scoop, and score.
Mm-hmm.
That completely changed the tide of the game. You have to take care of the football. And after that, obviously, as I just said, things changed. You were driving, you hold on to that football. At the very least, you kick a field goal. You're in a 2-possession game. Things are so much different. So taking care of the football, that turnover was absolutely massive, let alone turnover that led straight to points in the scoop and score. And also, what on earth was that play calling down the stretch?
Yeah. Horrible.
I mean, so what we're talking about is Florida State scores a touchdown when they get the ball first in overtime. Clemson then gets the ball. I believe they had a third and 1 after they had just ran the ball for like 8 yards. I think it was incomplete pass on first down. Just ran the ball, got down to the 1. They get up to the line. Looks like it's going to be a run. Klubnik pulls it, looked like an RPO, throws the screen out to the wide receiver who gets tackled for like a loss of 2 yards.
Mm-hmm.
And now you're setting a 4th and 4. Of course, they try and run a play, incomplete pass, game over. But 3rd and 1, you had just come off a good run. Again, defense on their heels, and you throw this little stupid wide receiver screen that ends up in a loss. I don't get it. I'm not entirely sure who calls plays, whether it's Garrett Riley or
I'm pretty sure it's Garrett Riley
or Dabo Sweeney, but whoever it is, get back to the drawing board because that is ridiculous. And again, one of the main reasons why I lost this game.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, and then on the Florida State side of things, gutsy win, as you said. Jordan Travis, get healthy, and you need to hopefully fix that running game as ACC play continues. But overall, good win for Florida State. No reason why Clemson should have lost. Moving on, the next game on the docket was Colorado. Of course, I'm not sure if you've heard, Colorado is coached by Deion Sanders.
Really?
Yes, Deion
Haven't
Sanders,
heard.
the former NFL player, Coach Prime. And they traveled to Eugene to take on the Ducks. This was over before it started.
Yeah. It was over 48 hours, I'd say, before the game kicked off. This was a absolute curb stomping. And I wish I could say this was the worst game of Saturday, but as you and I both know, it wasn't. But Oregon took this personal, as Coach Prime would say, and they absolutely dominated. Now, you see these stats. Yes, Bo Nix played phenomenal. He had 276 yards, 3 touchdowns, 1 interception, 28 for 33. A Heisman-like game. But what really set this apart is the difference in the running game. Oregon had 240 yards to Colorado's 40. Now I know Colorado is missing their best defensive player, Travis Hunter, which I think he would have had a slight impact on the game, but I don't think it would have helped them not lose 42-6. Maybe a little less, but not a significant amount where this matters. But just an absolute curb stomping in every which way. You could tell, is it Dan Manning or something like that? Oregon's head coach. We saw the pregame. They're looking for clicks, and he took it to a whole nother level. They went for it on fourth down 4 times, converted 75% of those. Just an absolute beat down by Oregon. But honestly, we all kind of expected this, right?
Yeah, I mean, we all saw that hype speech from Dan Lanning. I just saying, look, we know we're better than them, and the whole world knows we're better than them. I don't have a ton to add here, as you said. I mean, yeah, if Travis Hunter played, that's at least a cornerback one who can maybe stick with Troy Franklin, the wide receiver from Oregon. He had put in 126 and 2 touchdowns. So at least somebody stopping him would have definitely been welcomed by Colorado. Anything Oregon wanted to do, they did. They could throw it, they can run it, did not matter. 522 total yards. And that's with, I mean, virtually not playing the entire second half, taking the foot off the gas. Yeah, 100%. So, yeah, I mean, I don't have too much analysis here other than it's a classic tale of one team, the offseason hype. They win a few games against teams who were kind of overrated to begin with. Like TCU is not a good football team.
They're not the same team that led them to the national championship.
They lost like everybody from their national championship year. They beat Nebraska. They beat Colorado State. Like, relax, everybody. They played a far superior opponent and they got humbled. It happens all the time. Not too much analysis in it, just that Oregon was absolutely dominant. And it does not get easier for Colorado. They have to play USC next year. So that's a brutal back-to-back. Whoever made the schedule not favor Coach Prime.
Yeah.
But moving on, we will go to the SEC in their ranked matchup of the week. Ole Miss traveled to Tuscaloosa to take on the Tide, where the Tide were able to pull out the win at home 24-10.
Yeah, this game was about as expected, as I'd say. I think Alabama has found their quarterback in Jalen Milroe. I said last week this was going to be the battle. I was taking Jackson Dart, and he struggled. He put up the yards, but didn't get in the end zone once. Had a costly pick. I don't really know, because this game was so evenly matched in so many ways. I mean, if you look at the yardage, you see 2 big differences when it comes to this game, and that is rushing yards. Alabama outrushed them 131 yards to Ole Miss's 56. Now, with Bama this year, we've known they're going to go back to their old school with Derrick Henry, with Mark Ingram, just pound the ball
Trent Richardson.
and make them Eddie Lacy. There you
Yeah,
go. Make them stop you, and Ole Miss could not stop them. Another thing I'm looking at right now is Ole Miss's third down efficiency. 3 for 14. It's hard to win ball games when you go 3 for 14 on third down. But yeah, Alabama had a good bounce back win. A lot of people were questioning. Are they the Alabama of old? It looks like they kind of steered the ship in the right direction. And I'm not saying this is Alabama we've seen with Bryce Young, Jalen Hurts, but it's definitely a step in the right direction.
Yeah, for sure. I think it's been a while since we've seen a Bama team like this, because you had your John Mechie's, and you had your Devonta Smiths, and you've had I mean, even Jalen Waddle, and who was with Jalen Waddle? They had two, because LSU had Jamar and Jefferson, and Alabama had Waddle and someone else.
I got
apparently we don't know ball, but yeah, for so long this team was just as dominant as it gets throwing the football, and you have to go back to what we're saying, the Derrick Henry, Eddie Lacy, Mark Ingram days where they were just this dominant on the ground. But that's kind of where they have to make their money. I mean, Jalen Milroe himself can carry the ball a little bit, and Chase McClellan, I mean, he went for 105 yards on the ground and a touchdown. So it seems like this is going to be the key to success for Alabama, and whether they can keep to it and keep that consistent is kind of going to be the story of their season, it seems like, for me.
Yeah, definitely. Looking at that 2020, I know it did say Devonta Smith was on that team.
Maybe that's what I'm thinking of.
It
was Devonta Smith and Waddle.
Let's see. Of course, John. So
20
or
21?
20.
Okay.
So it was Jalen Waddle, John Mechie, and Devonta Smith.
It's not bad.
Not bad
yeah.
slate.
With wide receiving core like that, you tend to throw the ball a little bit. And was two of their quarterback that year? Or was it Bryce Young? Whoever it was, pretty good at throwing the football, right? It seems like it's been a long time since we've seen
Bryce Young and Mac Jones were on that team.
Right. Okay.
So 2 NFL level quarterbacks.
Yeah,
I believe
Mac Jones.
I believe Mac Jones was starting because he is a redshirt junior.
Yep. Tua to Mac Jones to Bryce Young, all first round draft picks. Yeah.
And
it's been a while.
Two of the best in the NFL right now.
Yeah, it's been
obviously Mac Jones and Bryce Young.
It's been a while since we've seen a Notre Dame. I
Jeez.
My screen.
It's all right.
Get it together. Looking at an Alabama quarterback struggle as much as they did. But moving right along here. This was a great game, Sam. An underrated game. A lot of eyes on the big ones. This one flew under the radar. Oregon State traveled to Washington State, and the Cougars at home got the win 38-35. The battle of the Pac-2 went to Washington State.
Like you said, Tanner, this was a underrated game. Obviously, people had it on their radar being a top 25 matchup, but like you said, a lot of good games going on at the same time. This one was, we had it up on one of our screens. I think it was a laptop TV. And to be honest with you, Tanner, I found myself looking at that screen a lot because this game was a lot of fun. Classic Pac-2 matchup. But to be honest with you, Tanner, this was a blowout in the third quarter.
Yeah, exactly.
I mean, it was 14. Let me do some. Oh no. 7. A lot of points.
Oh, brother.
Yeah, it's tough. I'm not in oh no, this is tough. But
in the words of
oh yikes.
I think it was
35-14. in the third quarter.
Yes.
That's tough.
It's not
Tough
good.
math. But go ahead.
I was gonna, in the words of was it Cardell Jones? I didn't come here to do school.
Yeah,
I
exactly.
didn't come here to play sports.
Yep. But Oregon State almost made a comeback, had 21 points in the fourth quarter. But this game really came down to one man and one man only. And that man is making a dark horse statement for Heisman. And that man name is Cameron Ward. 28 for 34, 404 yards, 4 touchdowns, and most importantly, no interceptions. And I think that's why the Washington State Cougars came out in this battle between the Pac-2.
Oh, absolutely. Cameron Ward was absolutely awesome in this game. He had 2 wide receivers go for 150 plus, slinging it all over the field. And Sam, you mentioned the big one, 0 picks. He took care of the football, slung it all over the field, got in the end zone 4 times. And on the flip side, of course, DJU for Oregon State kind of struggled. Went 17 for 34, 50% completion rate, under 200 yards passing, went for 198, a touchdown and a pick. So not taking care of the football. I mean, where Oregon State made their offense was rushing the ball.
Yeah.
I mean, Deshaun Fenwick with 101 himself, and then Damian Martinez added 81. So that's all of where Oregon State's offense came from, while Washington State a lot more efficient through the pass game. So Oregon State, I mean, this was a team that I was high on in the stacked Pac-12 somehow.
Yeah.
Stacked Pac-12. Their offense is going to need to be a little bit more dynamic and a little bit more multifaceted if they want to go deep in this conference, because being able to just run the ball ain't going to cut it against some of the high flying offenses in Oregon, USC, even Colorado can score a lot of points when they're not playing Oregon. Again, and playing this Oregon State team, if they're not able to throw the ball, it can be an issue. But yeah, Washington State was absolutely dominant through the air, and so won the game.
Yeah. I think Cameron Ward owns Kyler Williams and Josh Kelly a big steak dinner. Kyler Williams, 7 receptions, 174 yards, 24.9 per reception in yardage, 1 touchdown. Then Josh Kelly, 8 receptions, 159 yards, 19.3 average for 3 touchdowns. That's how you win ball games in this day and age.
Sure is. Now to the headliner of the college football slate. You had the rankings updated. I don't remember what they were. You had the top 10 matchup between Ohio State and Notre Dame. This game went completely different than a lot of us thought.
6 Ohio State versus 9 Notre Dame. I got you.
Let's go.
Let's go.
That 3-2-6 duo at work. But it was a top 10 matchup in at Notre Dame. And well, this game did not go the way we thought it did.
No.
Ohio State with the win, 17-14 on the road with a last-second touchdown as time expired.
I can dive in to the depths of this game. I can go play by play. I can dive into what players did. But I want to highlight coaching here. Final 2 plays. Ohio State in the red zone. And Marcus Freeman makes one of the dumbest mistakes a coach can make. He does not 1, but 2 plays with 10 defenders. And where does Ohio State score? Right where that 11th defender would be. And we all saw the quote, he didn't want to cause a penalty. Okay. Then you lost. That's literally the reason.
I didn't want to cause a penalty. You know what wouldn't cause a penalty? Having the right number of players
exactly
on the field. That would not cause a penalty.
And if you do, it's like half the distance to goal line.
It's at the half-yard line instead of the 1.
Yeah. Like, oh my God. I can't imagine what Notre Dame fans were thinking in that moment. And then hearing what Marcus Freeman said after. But that's obviously Ohio State played well. We saw Kyle McCord come into what we expect from Ohio State quarterback, but really those two plays right there were the game defining moments.
Yeah, I mean, it was a theme last. It was a theme last episode when we were picking these games. A lot of the times we went with the better quarterback. It's the most important position on the field, obviously. And in this specific game, we looked at each other. We were like, I trust Sam Hartman way more than I trust Kyle McCord. Kyle McCord outplayed him. You got to tip your cap. McCord went for 240 yards, did not throw an interception, while Sam Hartman only threw the ball 25 times, threw for 175, did throw for a touchdown. Sam, I don't think anyone expected this game to be this low scoring.
No.
The defenses were all over the place. Granted, there were some missed opportunities, turnovers on downs. I think there was a missed field goal in there.
Yeah.
But 3 points in the first half was very shocking. And yeah, I mean, the offense, I mean, I guess each team can be happy with how their defense is played. But offense has got to be a little bit concerned after this game. And Ohio State comes out with just a big time win on the road before they get into the meat of their Big Ten schedule. Of course, the games we are looking at are Penn State and Michigan. But anything else on the headliner here?
No, this one was a fun one. Unfortunately, it wasn't our main focus, which I wish it would have been.
Yeah, it was one of those where it was kind of like a snooze fest, but it was a great snooze fest.
It was a great snooze fest.
There wasn't a lot of scoring, but it was close and it was contested. It was physical. But yes, of course, it had to be on the side TV with no volume because we had a bigger game to watch for our fandom. Oh, man, I don't even know where to begin with this. So all I will do, we'll say the score. Iowa went to Happy Valley to face Penn State, and they got shut out 31-0.
First time in 23 years the Iowa Hawkeyes have been shut out. This was an ass kicking. I called the Oregon Colorado game a curb stomping. This is an ass kicking.
Pork slamming.
That's good.
Thank you.
I like that. I don't even know. Like you said, I don't even know where to start with this one. Yes. I think the most frustrating part for me is I was going into this game not expecting to win. I thought our defense will score one, and maybe Cade McNamara does some Fugazi stuff and somehow gets in the end zone with Eric Hall, because God knows we're not going to give it to our receivers. I think there's 14 receptions to our receivers this year. But back to my point, I wasn't expecting a win. I was expecting a 24-14, and I would have been okay with that. Obviously, we weren't going to see the offense play well. Turns out they played worse than what I was expecting. 31-0. Tough all around. I can dive into stats. I'm sure you have thoughts on that, Tanner. But the ones I want to look at is two major ones. And honestly, two that when you're talking about games, you don't really look at. And that is total plays. It's total plays. Let's start there. 97 total plays for Penn State and 33 for the Iowa Hawkeyes. Now, so keep that in mind. 97 plays. They held on to the ball for 45 minutes. And Iowa held on to the ball for 14:33. People are going to say I am absolutely insane for what I'm about to say, but I think this was a good performance by Iowa's defense. I I can give you 3 or 4 teams that hold a team to 31 being on the field 45 times with zero help from your offense. So that happens. We get curbs on. Offense is anemic. And Kirk Ferentz and his freaking nepotism, man, says it's just one game. We don't need to change things schematically. No, Kirk. I know you're getting up there in age, but it's been the past 4 years. And honestly, it's time to make some changes in the Iowa organization. I've been a Kirk Ferentz is the only guy I've known leading the Hawks, and he's done a great job with what he's given. But these past 4 years has been a brutal time to be an Iowa fan. We hit. I didn't think we could go lower than last year when it came to our offense, but goddamn, we hit it, baby.
Yeah, this is a new low. I have been watching football my entire life. I've been watching Iowa football my entire life. I have been watching every sort of football you can imagine my entire life. This is the single worst offensive performance I have ever seen. It was pure dominance. Sam said 97 plays, 97 plays to 33 plays, 45 and a half minutes to 14 and a half minutes. Sam, you are absolutely correct. This was a great defensive performance. Find me any group that has to go for 97 plays, not to mention short fields, not to mention like short fields from turnovers, but short fields from getting pinned on their own 5 and not being able to move the ball a literal inch. Sam, I am done with this BS. It is the worst offensive performance I've ever seen. Worse than Ohio State a year ago. Worse than Wisconsin a few years ago. We were supposed to have our quarterback. He threw the ball 14 freaking times for 40 yards. This was absolutely unbelievable. And I'm done taking shots at Brian Ferentz. Yes, he is awful at his job. But guess what? I'm done with that. Because there's one person responsible for the situation we are in, and that is Kirk Ferentz. Like you said, Sam, he's all I've ever known, and I love the guy. The guy should get a statue at Kinnick Stadium, but damn it, I can't do it anymore, man. I can't do it. To quote Harvey Dent in The Dark Knight, you either die a hero or you live long enough to see yourself become the villain. And he is now the villain. This is unreal. Because, Sam, what is the first thing they tell you when you start a business? What? Not to hire your friends, not to hire your family. You know why? Because things might not go well. You might have to talk to your friends about being better at their job, and you might have to fire your family. Well, guess what? That is why we're in the situation we are in. Don't hire your family, man, because now we don't know. Can we fire him? Can we keep our legacy head coach? Do we have to fire him? This situation is awful because of one man and Kirk Ferentz. Also, he is the head of the whole thing. He runs this ship. If he's not happy with it, he will make changes. But guess what? He hasn't. And when he's asked about his historically bad performances year after year after year, he gives smug comments about how he's smarter than everyone else, about how Iowa wins a lot of football games, about how Iowa is just fine the way they are. It's one bad game. No, Kirk, it is not. Like you said, it is 4 years. There have been 2 games in the past 2 years that have been historically bad performances. 3 games in the past 4 years that have been under 100 yards. That is unbelievable. You know why Iowa wins a lot of football games? Because they play in the Big Ten West. That's why. Because your opponents suck. In 1 year, when the Big Ten does a whole realignment, you will not win football games. That's how it is, Kirk. Either adapt or get out. I'm done with that fossil of a head coach. He needs to retire. And Beth Getz, the new Iowa athletic director, needs to do something about this. Make a statement in her first year because it's ridiculous, and I am done with it.
Amen. Yeah. The fact the Ferentzes have a job right now is very concerning for me. Like you said, abysmal, not even abysmal. There's not a word to describe this performance by the Hawkeyes. And you could say, well, they were missing running back 1 and 2 and tight end. Bro, you should still at least get more than 100 yards. I don't care who you are. I really don't. I don't care. We brought it. This is probably the most most offensive talent Iowa has had in years.
A long time, and it's the same shit year after year. And we read off the stats. The stats are bad. I promise you, the eye test was way worse. It was literally The Simpsons when it's like, stop, he's already dead, because Iowa was dead. Iowa was dead. Our fans were dead inside. The team looked like they didn't want to be there. It was unbelievable to watch. A new low. Not a single Iowa fan in the world thought they were going to win the game. And only this Iowa team, led by the Ferentzes, of course, would somehow disappoint in a game where you literally thought there was no chance they would win. It's unbelievable.
Yeah.
But I just can't do it anymore. Kirk Ferentz, you need to go. You just need to go. You're actively hurting the program. The hiring of your son is actively hurting the program, and you are the sole reason we're in this situation. Not your son. You take control over your program or get the hell out. Felt good.
Yeah.
Felt good to get that out.
We'll keep it going for this next game.
I will. Don't you worry. So we're going to move on to the NFL. There was a whole slate of NFL games. You talked about some of the upsets, of course, some other memorable things. I think there were 2 scorigamis in the NFL this week, 2 of them. So that's pretty cool, but we'll get to all that in a bit. We'll start off into a big time loser leaves town game. The 0-2 Chargers went up to Minnesota to face the 0-2 Vikings, and the Chargers were able to get their first win, and they now are 1-2, beating the Vikings 28-24. Do you want to
go ahead?
I don't even. Oh man. Yeah, this is a classic. This is a classic Vikings game right here. You know why?
Talk to me.
Because the team did everything in its power to win, while simultaneously doing everything in its power to lose. Let's just share how the go-ahead touchdown was scored by the Chargers. It was a drastically underthrown football by Justin Herbert that bounces off of a Caleb Evans' hands, who had a free interception. But guess what? Bounces off his hands, pops in the air, bounces right to the Chargers wide receiver for the go-ahead touchdown. Unbelievable stuff. Then the Chargers, of course, did their thing. They tried every way possible to give it back, including going for it on their own.
Was wild.
On their own.
I forgot about that.
25 or 30 on a 4th and 1. If they got the first down, the game would have been over.
That was so wild.
Personally, I don't hate the idea to go for it. I hate the play call.
Yeah.
They lined up their running back as a fullback. There was no running back, so it was the most obvious thing what you were doing. You ran your running back with no head of steam from the fullback position, and didn't get it. Then Minnesota got the ball back and still didn't score. They had 2 series inside the red zone, down 4. And we're not able to score. It's embarrassing. It's embarrassing. In the last series, Minnesota got a completion to TJ Hawkinson. I believe they're on the 6-yard line with about 42 seconds left. They didn't snap it till there was, or I think it was like 36 or 38 seconds.
And they didn't
snap it till there was till 15 seconds left, because they claimed the crowd was too loud. Kirk couldn't hear the play call, but when asked later, Kirk said, "Oh, I have the power to he has trusted enough by Kevin O'Connell to make play calls in a pinch. That includes spiking the ball."
Exactly. That's what I was about to say.
That is unbelievable. You get to the line, you spike it. You have 25, 30 seconds. That's easily 3 shots to the end zone, but instead you get 1. He tries to force it in a tight window, and it leads to an interception in the end zone. But Sam, I do have to talk about a couple people on the Chargers. Justin Herbert was absolutely magnificent. He was 40 for 47, 405 yards, 3 touchdowns, no picks. He would have had a 4th if it wasn't for a trick play where Keenan Allen got the passing touchdown. And speaking of that guy, Keenan Allen was open all game long. A magnificent performance from him too. 18 receptions, 215 receiving yards. Didn't catch touchdown, but he did throw for one. Mike Evans, all he did was add 121 yards himself and a touchdown.
Mike
Of course,
Williams. You
Mike
said
Williams.
Mike Evans.
I'm
It's all right.
I'm so mad that I can't even read. Mike Williams, of course, with the 121 yards and a touchdown, but he did tear his ACL in that game. So hopefully, hopefully he gets better and gets ready for next year because he will be out for the year. But Sam, the Minnesota Vikings blitzed on nearly 85% of Justin Herbert's
Oh no.
dropbacks.
Oh no.
Justin Herbert's passer rating against the blitz was the highest in the NFL this year.
Oh no. You hate to see that.
The defense just isn't good. Like you could, and I
And they
think
only
this
got
defense,
one sack.
this defense will be better than last year's defense simply because of the coordinator.
Yeah.
But like Ed Donatel was really bad at his job. He was really bad at his job. Simply put, this defense sucks. No one not named Daniil Hunter can get to the quarterback. You can easily double, if not triple team him, and then no one else can get any sort of penetration. I saw a graph today that graphed difficulty of rush and quality of play. Two Minnesota Vikings defensive ends were in the far bottom left, meaning they faced the easiest offensive lineman and they had the worst effective rush. One of their interior linemen was in the far left. Same story. The defense is just bad. The defense can't get any sort of pressure. And it doesn't matter who you play in the NFL. If you cannot get a single shred of pressure, he will sit back and rip you apart just like Justin Herbert did on Saturday. So unbelievable way that Minnesota chokes that game. Of course, the Vikings and the Chargers are incredibly similar teams. Both had 475 yards of offense on the dot. Very similar teams. Both tried to give the game away about 9 times, and the Vikings were just better at sucking and better at being who their franchise is, and that's chokers. And now they're 0-3, and next week they play the Panthers. And if you don't win that game on the road, you're going to have some serious questions about personnel, about rebuild, about tanking season. If you want to go for the better draft pick and get some draft picks for the guys that you have. But yeah, this is really not good at all. Not good at all in Minnesota.
Yeah.
That's kind of a lot. Sorry. I just
No. We got it.
Diarrhea, especially.
I got a couple questions. We're watching this game. It seemed that last week y'all couldn't get the run game going. Alexander Madison was abysmal. He finally gets going, right? I think he had around 100 yards. That's a good performance in today's NFL, especially when you're going up against a team that had 30 total rushing yards. But with that being said, there's been a lot of concerns with Alexander Madison being one, and kind of a lot of your playmakers with ball security. And your coach, Kevin O'Connell, said either guys are going to fix it or we're going to have to put other guys in the game that have ball security. Where, it seems to be a problem we've kind of never seen, especially in the NFL. So is there a way you can fix it? Or is there you just have to minimize the opportunities for it to happen? What's your thoughts on that?
Yeah, I mean, I've never seen it before. A team fumble so much in their lives. Kevin O'Connell's right. You fix it or get people in there who will. I think Cam Akers is a part of that. Of course, they traded for Cam Akers from the Rams, but I really think that focusing on the fumbles is kind of it's the wrong thing to focus on, because yes, it's a problem. It needs to be fixed. And that's why you lost against Tampa Bay, a team you're clearly better than. But yes, you fumbled a few times against the Eagles. You didn't lose to the Eagles because you fumbled. You lost to the Eagles because they could run the ball whenever they wanted, wherever they wanted, down your throat, because your defensive line is bad. You can't get any penetration whatsoever. You can't stop anybody from running. And then you lost this game because you blitzed on 85% of dropbacks. He threw the ball 47 times, completed 40 of them. Unbelievable against 85% blitzes. Your defense sucks. Your defensive line sucks. And that is the main issue when teams with good offensive lines can just run it down your throat and teams with quality quarterbacks with a competent passing game and a good wide receiver will just run all over you. He'll be open all game long. So focusing on that, I think would be a mistake by the coaches instead of just focusing on you need to get better. Whether that's you get an Akeem Hicks in free agency to try and help run stuff, or you try and sign some sort of veteran pass rusher in free agency or whatnot. But the defensive line just needs to get better. But yes, the offensive line the offense needs to take care of the football. I guess just more drills with pads and people hitting, people constantly trying to rip the ball out in practice. But yeah, if you're focusing on that, I think if the coaching staff is focusing on that from a team-wide perspective and not the way the defense looks and the major problems from that, I think that would be a mistake.
Yeah. And one thing I do want to highlight here for kind of a positive for the Vikings, if you can find one, obviously starting out 30 start. Goddamn, Kirk Cousins played a hell of a game. Now, you can look at stats 32 for 50, not the greatest completion percentage, but he still threw for 367 yards when he had approximately 0.5 seconds, if that, to deliver the ball. He stood in the pocket, delivered, got knocked on his butt multiple times. But just want to give Kirk, he is not the reason the Vikings are 0-3 to start off this season.
Yeah, you're absolutely correct. And watching his growth over the years has been kind of crazy. I mean, the way he can handle an offense now compared to when he first got to Minnesota and the way he moves in the pocket now. He's obviously not the quickest in the pocket, but the way he can navigate it, step up, slide in the pocket now, I mean, has been night and day from when he first started with Minnesota. I mean, I hate to keep bringing it back to this, but his value is quite literally never been higher. So
with that being said, will Kirk Cousins be a Vikings at the end of the season? There's a lot of circulation within the NFL world, possibly rumors going to New York to help them make a deep run in this year's playoffs. What are your thoughts on that?
Will he? Yes, I think he will end the season a Viking. Should he? No. And I'll cite a perfect example on this. I'm gonna reference you to the Philadelphia Eagles because they won a Super Bowl, right? The year with Nick Foles. They won the Super Bowl. That team was obviously very talented. What did they do? They kind of fell off a little bit. Now, obviously, Minnesota never won a Super Bowl. They won the 13 games. They had that great season that maybe instilled some false hope in fans. But what did the Eagles do when they realized it was time? Like the team just wasn't that good anymore. What did they do? They took a step back. They didn't go out and sign some crazy quarterback. They took a step back. They realized they sent Carson Wentz out there with virtually no talent. Minnesota can do the same, trade away some assets, take a step back. What did the Eagles get from it? 6th overall pick, Devontae Smith. Where's he now?
Yeah.
They were so much better off for a 1 year step back because in the year after they were back in the playoffs, then the year after that, they were in the goddamn Super Bowl. So just take a step back. Your team will be so much better for it. And and obviously with such a big question at quarterback and such a deep quarterback class, that's where your mind goes right away.
Yeah, but absolutely.
I think the front office might be a little too scared to make that statement. So will he end a Viking? Yes. Should he?
Interesting.
Yeah, that's my take on the situation. But Sam, we have another game to talk about. I alluded to this earlier when I was talking.
There's no game after Vikings game.
The Dallas Cowboys looking like certainly the NFC's best team. Or I guess them and the 49ers looking like the NFC and the NFL's best teams. they went to the 0-2 Cardinals, a team that, they look feisty, but of course, we all know looking like they're trying to tank, and the Cardinals get the win 28-16.
I think the best way to kick this game talk off is after Iowa got absolutely pummeled, 31-0. I was like, okay, yeah, that sucked. That really sucked. But hey, the Cowboys got the Cardinals tomorrow, and I was like, all right, another day. Let's see some good football. Boy, no. This was a terrible weekend for the N326 duo.
Yes,
Um,
very, very bad.
but on paper, looking at stats, it seems that the Cowboys should have won this game. I mean, 416 total yards, 231 passing yards, 185 rushing yards, 5.5 yards of play, 26 first downs, 9 for 16 for third down, 75 total plays, only 2 sacks allowed, 2 punts, 1 interception. Yeah, I'll get to that interception. And they had a greater time of possession. What I don't understand how the Cowboys lost this game. I think their egos got way too big. Everyone was saying, "Yep, this Cowboys here, this is it." They got the best defensive player in the NFL, arguably. I can see some arguments, but Micah Parsons is definitely up there. We saw Dak Prescott. Oh, he's a changed quarterback. No, he's still stupid as hell in clutch freaking moments. Doing his best Justin Fields impression. But this should not happen. The Cardinals are not a good team. They have Joshua Dobbs. He had a literally damn near perfect game. 17 for 21, 189 yards. Not great, right? But 1 touchdown. But 17 for 21, that's really good for kind of an inexperienced quarterback playing one of the best defenses in the NFL. But where they were truly effective was the rushing game. And I'll just read off James Conner, 14 carries, 98 yards, 7 average, 1 touchdown. Joshua Dobbs, 6 carries, 55, 9.2 yards. And then Rondale Moore, who was my dad at Purdue, is now my dad in the NFL. 3 carries for 54 yards, 18 yards per carry. I still don't understand how the Cowboys lost this game. But then just stat by stat, when you're looking at it, it looks like the Cowboys should win this game. But oh my God, the Cowboys can't do anything without gaining a freaking penalty, Tanner. 13 penalties for 107 yards. That is not how you win football game. And that is why I truly believe deep in my heart that the Cardinals won. They just were the better team today. And we had a chance to make a little comeback, and we saw primetime Dak Prescott make the moment, the interception everyone was waiting for. Everyone was like, is Dak now a good quarterback? No, he hasn't been. He's never been. He will never be. Just very frustrating. I didn't think the Trayvon Diggs loss would have been that big. I think the loss of our 3 linemen definitely hurt us this game, but it shouldn't have hurt us this bad to where we're losing to the Arizona Cardinals. Very frustrating loss. Yeah, doesn't make much sense. Still trying to comprehend how the hell this happened, but
yeah. Well, the 13 penalties, obviously not good. I think personally, I have some sort of leeway with that given the backup offensive line, and probably a few more holdings, maybe a few more false starts from not being familiar with the cadence and
definitely
on the road. But what is definitely confusing to me is the inability to stop the run game. Just like you said, Sam, it would have been one thing. Would have surprised me if Josh Dobbs just came out and kind of threw it all over the field because you didn't have Trayvon Diggs in your first game without him, trying to figure things out in the defensive secondary. But that's not what happened at all. I mean, Josh Dobbs threw for under 200 yards. Exactly what had happened was James Conner ran all over it. Rondale Moore ran all over it. Even Josh Dobbs got into the act a little bit. So yeah, that's pretty confusing to me from when Dallas looked like a defensive line. I mean, obviously Giants and the Jets, granted, not great offenses, but pretty on par with Arizona, if you ask me. But they couldn't get anything going. No run game, no pass game. The pass rush was crazy. The run defense was crazy, and all that just kind of disappeared. Yeah, so I'm not sure how losing a cornerback messes with your run defense, but it obviously did. So, yeah, maybe it was just some sort of ego. And then the penalties. Again, I think as your linemen get healthy, which it seemed like they were game time decisions, so a decent chance that they play next week. But yeah, it's concerning, especially when you're competing with Philly for the division. But anything else you want to say about your beloved Cowboys?
Tough week. Got an opportunity to bounce back, like you said. Linemen, I think, but all three of them should be back this week. Big game against Patriots. Get right game. Let's go out and get them, maybe.
I like it. All right, Sam. One more question before we move on. Cowboys have Super Bowl expectations. If you could handpick right now, would you rather keep Dak or get Kirk Cousins?
Oh man, that's interesting because obviously you hear a lot of comparisons between the two. I think I'm taking Kirk Cousins.
You're taking Kirk, huh?
Yeah,
to be honest with you, I'm not going to answer because I have no idea either.
I think because we've seen Kirk Cousins with a god awful line, and he's still throwing for 300.
That good offensive line is pretty scary.
Yeah,
Kirk, right.
I think I'm leaning slightly towards Kirk, but yeah, it's an interesting conversation. We could probably have a whole podcast on.
Definitely, and with Tony Pollard, that check down game would go crazy.
No TJ Hawkinson to throw on third and long, but it's all right.
Well. Schoonmaker starting tight end?
I believe so.
Tight ends will do. But that's going to wrap it up for our NFL talk. Not much this week. Again, we wanted to focus on the college side of things this week. So that's going to wrap it up. However, we will jump into our players of the week now that we have wrapped up the individual games. Of course, every week, Sam has a college football player of the week, and I'll do an NFL player of the week. Sam, who's your college player of the week?
Yeah, there were a ton of big-time games, big-time players, which we talked about. I mean, Bo Nix had another Heisman-like game. We had Cameron Ward, who I talked about at length. We had Michael Penix Jr. doing what he has done all year, making the Washington Huskies a top 10 team and still dark horse Heisman candidate.
By the way, jump in real quick. Did you see he is now the betting favorite?
Is he really?
Michael Penix, betting favorite to win the Heisman through 4 weeks?
4 weeks.
Interesting, right? All right,
yeah.
Go ahead.
And so you have all these guys, right? I'm going on the defensive side.
I like it.
And it is none other than Kentucky. Yes, Kentucky football making an appearance. Who would have thought? But their cornerback, Maxwell Hairston, went bonkers. Pick sixes.
Oh!
Given it was against Vandy. So,
conference game.
Pick sixes. 29-yard interception for a touchdown in the first quarter, and another 54-yard pick six in the fourth quarter to seal the win for Kentucky over Vandy, 45-28 on the road too. So it was the first time a Wildcats defender has ever done it in program history, and it's only his first season as a starter. So
Not
pretty
bad.
cool moment. It's hard to give a defensive player of the week award, but I thought Maxwell Hairston was definitely deserving this.
Yeah,
when I
we're
saw
not
that stat line.
positionist here.
Yeah.
We treat people equal.
Yeah, I think we got a cornerback now. I think we got running backs. I think we got quarterbacks. I think we've gotten wide receivers. So yeah.
However,
Spreading the love.
I do want you to hit me with those yardages again. So what was the
Yeah, so his first one was 29 yards.
29?
And then his second one was 54 yards.
54 plus 29. Quick maths, that is 83. So he had more yards and pick six return than Iowa had.
Why you gotta do it? No. No, why, Tanner?
Because people need to know, Stan. Also, something we didn't mention before, Delaware played Penn State earlier in the year and scored a touchdown. Iowa didn't. But
and just because I can, he also recorded 3 pass deflections and 4 solo tackles. So gotta give all the love to Maxwell Hairston. Definitely deserving of this week's college football player of the week.
What an absolute beast. Yeah, for my NFL player of the week, I will give you one guess to choose what team he is from. Could he play on the Miami Dolphins, who put up 70 points against the Denver Broncos, 10 touchdowns? They tried taking their foot off the gas and just running the football. They put in Mike White, who looks like the Jets would love to have right now. He went 2 for 2 with 67 yards and a touchdown.
Oh, no.
Right? But the player of the week, I have to go with Devon Achane, the running back from Texas A&M. He had an absolutely insane game. On the ground, he had 18 carries for 203 yards.
Oh my God.
And 2 touchdowns. That's an average of 11.3 yards per carry. But Sam, that's not it. Through the air,
oh no,
he had 4 receptions for an additional 30 yards and 2 more touchdowns.
Oh my God.
In total,
give me the totals.
So that's 18 carries, 4 receptions, 233 yards.
Oh my God. That's beautiful.
That is crazy.
That's like Madden like numbers, baby. That's crazy.
Yeah. And I mean, just to dive into this game a little bit, Miami had 726 total yards, 376 through the air, 350 rushing yards. 350 rushing yards. I could have made the entire Miami rushing attack the NFL player of the week. Mostert added 82 yards. Chris Brooks, I mean this respectfully, had 66 yards at 7 yards a carry. Of course, Mostert added 3 more rushing touchdowns of his own. And Tyreek Hill went for 157 yards and a touchdown himself.
Trash.
I can't talk about it enough, but I'm going to go with Devon Achane.
Yeah.
4 total
definitely.
233 total yards, 11 yards a carry.
That's insane.
Yeah.
Wow.
That's some insane stuff.
Yeah.
One of the 2 scorigamis actually was that game. Believe it or not, 70 to 20 has not happened. In the NFL.
The other one was Bucks.
That was Philly. Yeah,
Philly Bucks
25-11. I think
25-11.
So
scorigamis, baby.
Yeah,
love
those
them.
were our players of the week. Let us know who you guys would have chosen for players of
the
week.
Dolphins player,
which Dolphins player would you have chosen? Or the only player I could see who could fit in that is, of course, Keenan. Event. You get a reception, you get a touchdown. Isn't it great? But let's pick some football games. What do you think about that? All right, let's do it. So we'll start on the college side of things. We have Utah coming off of a win, traveling to Corvallis, Oregon, to take on the Oregon State Beavs after they lost to Washington State a week ago. Sam, who you got in this one?
This one's interesting. Oregon State, DJU, it seems to be that guy at Oregon State. And then, of course, the reoccurring story of the Utah Utes is Is Cam Rising going to play? Seems like it doesn't really matter. I got Utah. I'm surprised Oregon State. I think it's just some home cooking, 3.5 point favorites, but I got Utah. I've liked what they've done with or without Cam Rising. I still got Utah.
I got you, but not so fast, my friend. I love me some good old fashioned home cooking. So I'm going to go with the Beavs. I think it's a prime position for them to bounce back. Again, Utah's quarterback. Who the hell knows who's going to be playing? I feel like Cam Rising is, like you said, been questionable for weeks, game time decision for weeks. He's got to come back at some point, right? I don't know. Let's go with the Beavs here. I think DJU bounces back. I think, I think it's a bounce back game for the Beavs. I got them at home. Next game, we've got LSU coming off a nail-biting win at home over Arkansas a week ago. Super Dog taking on Ole Miss, who had that disappointing loss in Tuscaloosa. LSU is going to be 2.5-point favorites. Sam, who do you got in this game?
Yeah, obviously this is kind of two programs that are coming off kind of obviously LSU won. Disappointing. Arkansas is not a very good football team this year. And Ole Miss obviously dropping one against Alabama. I think if Ole Miss drops this one, it's going to be their season's going to go for the worst. So with that being said, they're at home. That home crowd is wild. LSU didn't look as good as I thought they would against Arkansas. It's going to be a fun game to watch, but give me the Ole Miss Rebels in this one.
Sam, that is a great pick. I'm going to agree with you. I'm going to go with the home team. LSU was not very impressive against Arkansas, and it takes a loss to get that extra kick in the behind to get you a little bit of urgency. So I'm going to go with the Rebs. I think they're just going to play more desperate. They need this game to stay relevant in the SEC. So I think they will get that done. So I agree. I'm going with the Rebs at home. Next game, I am incredibly excited for this game, Sam. We have Notre Dame coming off of that heartbreaking loss to Ohio State, traveling to Raleigh to take on the Duke Blue Devils, the darling of the college football season thus far. Big win against Clemson, have been kind of dominating teams ever since. Sam, the Irish are 5.5-point favorites on the road. Who do you have in this?
Yeah, I'm kind of shocked about the 5.5 here. Duke has been rolling all season, and I don't think Notre Dame looked that good last week. Obviously, Ohio State, but Ohio State hasn't looked good either. Give me the upset. I got the Duke Blue Devils at home. That place is going to be rowdy. Give me the Duke Blue Devils here.
Let's go. Sam, I like the pick. Duke has been awesome. However, I'm going to have to disagree with you. I'm going to go with Notre Dame. I tell you what, Sam, who's back? Bounce back games are back, baby, because I've got bounce back across the board from Oregon State.
You do.
From Ole Miss.
Oh, man.
Now Notre Dame's going to bounce back.
Just like your Vikings.
Oh, no, that was what the hell? Okay, but in all seriousness, I just think Duke's rushing attack is going to be too hard to stop. Or excuse me.
Yeah, you're right. Duke is going to do that, baby. You want to, Tanner.
Do want to. The Duke rushing game is their best attribute, but I think Notre Dame is going to be able to stop, coming off of a great defensive performance against Ohio State a week ago. It seems to be right now that if you stop the rushing game, you can kind of stop that offense from doing too much damage. And I think Notre Dame will have a good game plan. Will have the appropriate amount of players on the field for all plays. And I think the Irish will get this win on the road. So I'm going to go Notre Dame.
Gross.
Yeah. Yeah. I wanted to so bad. Obviously, I wanted to, but I'm not going to do it. So let's go to the NFL on Thursday. A good matchup on Thursday, finally. Wow.
Nice.
Second fist bump of the episode. But the Lions go to Lambeau to take on Jordan Love and the Packers. The Packers coming off of a crazy come from behind victory over the Saints. Lions kind of handling business against the Falcons. You know what I'm going to ask, Sam? Who do you have in this game?
This game I feel like has a very obvious answer. I think I think the Lions are the better team here, but for some reason, the cheesehead is pulling me. I got the Packers
You got the
at
Packers here,
Lambeau.
huh?
Somehow, somewhat, they've just been getting it done lately. I mean, they came back from 17 last week. Obviously, a Jameis Winston led Saints better than Carr in my opinion, but that's a topic for another day. Um, but I some's telling me the Packers are going to get it done. So I got the Packers with Jordan Love leading the helm.
I tell you what, I've gone back and forth on this one a lot. The thing with the Packers, injuries, right? Christian Watson was out, Aaron Jones was out, two offensive linemen were out, I think, against the Lions. Now, the short week is tough, right? Because you want to get healthy,
Yeah.
but you have a short week. I'm not quite sure where the injury bug plays in this game. But I'm gonna go with the Lions. I think if this game was in November, if this was a game where you could see your breath,
Yeah.
I could see the Lions having some trouble in the cold weather, an advantage for the Packers. But Jared Goff, that offense is flying high right now. I mean, although that defense against Atlanta, they held them to 6 points, I think, in the game.
Yeah.
So again, that defense, if they're doing things and holding teams to low point totals, that team's going to be very scary. And I think the Lions are going to be able to get the win on the road like they did a year ago to prevent the Packers from making it to the playoffs. So I'm going to go with the Lions on the road. Next game, another one I'm really excited for. The Dolphins, of course, looking like the NFL's best offense, travel to Buffalo to take on the Bills, a matchup, obviously a divisional matchup, but a matchup that we saw in the playoffs a year ago, to which the Bills won, but a lot closer than people thought. Now the Dolphins look a lot better this year. Who do you have in this game?
You mentioned if this game was in November for the last game, you have the Packers, right? It's going to be 70 in sunny Buffalo. I don't care about the weather. Give me the Bills.
Give me the Bills.
Give me the Bills. I think this is a statement game for Josh Allen. We saw him kind of dominate last weekend, kind of got his confidence back up after the abysmal performance against the Jets. I think it's going to be very high scoring, not a lot of defense in this one. But if a defense needs a stop, I trust the Bills way more than the Dolphins defense. Give me the Bills here, expecting a big game from Josh Allen.
Damn it, Sam. Because I agree with you. I do like the Bills at home in this game. I talked about it in the LSU Ole Miss game because an early loss from the Bills, obviously Josh Allen looked awful. We all know what happened in that game. Has got them a little desperate. Miami off to a red hot start. This is the game to make up ground.
Yeah.
This is the game at home to make up ground, and I think they know it. Coach of Buffalo will have them ready to play. And I think, again, a big game for Josh Allen, a bounce back game after all the narratives after that Jets game. Of course, I was one of those talking about Josh Allen, but he has done nothing but been awesome since then. And I think this continues, and I got the Bills at home.
Yeah.
And lastly, the game we've all been waiting for. We thought it would be fun to pick a giant suckfest in the
Vikings aren't playing.
Oh, come on. Come on. That's rude. That's rude. Well, that is a different matchup. Although, are the Broncos 0-3?
Yeah.
They are, right?
Yep.
So, a different winless matchup, not the Vikings versus the Panthers, but the Bears versus the Broncos. Broncos have lost to the Raiders. They got 70 points put on them by the Dolphins. I don't remember who they played in their third game. The Bears, obviously, getting schmang bopped by the Packers, schmang bopped by the Chiefs.
Raiders, Commanders, and Dolphins.
Oh, they lost to the Commies. That's right. And then, the Bears, obviously, we know that story. The game is in Mile High, and the Broncos are 3.5-point favorites. Sam, what do you got in this?
Don't care. Don't care.
Don't
Don't
care.
care.
Don't care.
Give me Chicago.
You got the Bears. Wow.
This is sad to say, but this might be a career defining game for Justin Fields. Like, Chicago is going to come after his head if he loses this one, or at least doesn't perform well. I've always been a Justin Fields fan. I want to see him doing good. I really don't like Russell Wilson. I'm not a huge fan of Sean Payton, and I kind of like seeing them suck. So give me the Bears, Scrit. Give me the Bears.
I like it. Why the hell not, right?
They're both 0-3. Why
Yeah, they're both
not?
3. They're both on 3. Well, I'm not going to do that. I'm going to go with the Broncos. An offense that looked somewhat competent in the first half against Washington. They looked like they were going to run away with that game. Of course, they ended up choking it. And an offense that, again, also they put up 20 points on the Dolphins. The offense themselves didn't look horrible for the Broncos. It was obviously that defense that just got torched all game. And the Bears defense is, I mean, the Broncos got 70 put on them last week, and I still think the Bears are the worst defense in the league. So, I just think Chicago right now, after the first 3 games,
I'm cooked.
the direction is clear from up
Just let
top.
Justin Fields run the ball. Just let him run the ball.
That's the thing, right? You see Justin Fields kind of struggling from the quarterback position. The directive from up top, Justin Fields isn't the guy. Of course, that's not Ryan Poles, the GM of the Bears. That's not his guy. That's the old guy, the old GM's guy. So maybe he decides to make his stand as a GM and tanks for Caleb Williams. But who knows? But I've got the Broncos in this game at home. So Sam, it's time to hop into our super dog. Last week, we went 2-0 in our super dog. Of course, one super dog, one outright. One just covered, but hey, a win is a win. We are both 2-1 in super dogs after an abysmal week 2 weeks ago. But before we hop into our other super dog, we mentioned we went 2-0 this past week. Sam, you have a pick'em pick'em update for us.
So I'll run through last week's slate just to keep y'all up to date. So we kicked off Florida State, Clemson. I had Florida State. Tanner had Clemson. We both had Oregon against Colorado. That was easy. Both had Utah. That's another win. We split against Ole Miss. Bama, I had Ole Miss. You had Bama. Oregon State, Washington State, again, split. I had Washington State. You had Oregon State. We both picked Penn State. We all know how that went. And then we both picked Notre Dame. And then we both got the pick'em. So that makes the pick'em standings with a slight edge to me, 18-17, with a lot of ground, with a lot of competitiveness, which we asked for. That's why we introduced this super dog. So
I like it. So why don't we hop into it, right? Who is your super dog?
Now, Tanner, people are going to call me crazy. They're going to call me a madman. Give me Colorado.
Wow.
Plus 21.5 over against USC. I just don't think USC's defense is that good. I
agree.
I just don't. I think that I honestly think this might be a bigger game than last week for Colorado. I totally
agree.
If they get absolute curb stomped again, people are gonna be like, why did we hype this team up so much? I don't think that happens. I think it's gonna be a classic Pac-12 game. Well, Big 12 versus Big 10 now. But I think Colorado keeps it competitive this week and stays within that spread of 21.5.
I like the process, right? You know, a team got embarrassed. You have a team with a lot worse of a defense coming in. I think is Colorado at home in this game?
I think it's at USC.
Oh,
I
okay.
I
But still, it's no matter where it is, right? It's still less of a home field advantage than it would be in Oregon.
uh-huh.
So
No, it's at
okay,
Colorado
so it's at Colorado.
at 11 a.m. Let's
Yeah.
go.
Wow. So yeah, I think all of that plays into Colorado's favor. I don't hate the pick. Yeah, hopefully they can overcome, of course, not having Travis Hunter, which we've talked about at length. For my super dog, I'm going to use a team that we've used before. Suey, I got the Hogs, baby. They are at home taking on Texas A&M, or they're, excuse me, it's at AT&T Stadium,
Yeah.
taking on Texas A&M. This is a game that seems to always be close. I know in recent years, I think it was a year where Arkansas wasn't their best year. Texas A&M was a top 10 team, and that came down to a last second field goal from the Aggies. But at AT&T Stadium, again, Jerry's World, Jerry, the Arkansas guy. I'm gonna go with the Hogs. I'm not a believer in Texas A&M. They did make a switch at quarterback last week that seemed to work a little bit for their offense. They're able to pull away from Auburn. However, I think Auburn sucks.
Yeah.
But yeah, Arkansas played LSU very tightly in Death Valley. I think getting to Jerry's World into some friendly confines. There's gonna be a lot of Arkansas fans there, and of course, again, Jerry Jones, the Arkansas guy. So give me the Hogs.
Yeah.
Give me the Hogs getting 6.5 against the Aggies.
Yeah, I mean, obviously, as a Hog fan, I love that pick. Like you said, this rivalry is always close, no matter the talent level, rankings. It doesn't matter in the rivalry game, and that's especially true in this one. Let's just hope Jimbo Fisher doesn't bring a whole new meaning to 12th man like last week.
That's a great wow. Well done.
Thank
Did you have
you.
that? Did you have that loaded?
No, off the dome.
Good work. That's impressive.
I appreciate it.
So to wrap up the episode, of course, that will do it for our pick'em, our super dogs. Yeah, let us know what underdog you think will win and who you think are going to win these games. But to wrap up the episode, we have a few questions. First one from Cameron Tissue. He said, do you think the Rays should have moved into Tampa, or was it the right move to stay across the bay in St. Petersburg?
Yeah. My buddy Cameron Tissue, he is now in Tampa. He said this is kind of the talk of the town, right? New stadium in Tampa, or in St. Petersburg, actually. I think it should be in Tampa, personally. I just think the Tampa Bay Rays, and I feel like St. Pete is not as touristy, because I feel like they struggle with fans as a whole, as an organization, and being located in a bigger city, because you really don't have a ton. If you don't have a ton of diehard fans, you want to get the tourists. Oh, I know you've done this. It's a stadium you've never been to. I'm gonna go check it out. Don't care who's playing. And I feel like new stadium especially brings that. And I don't think your average baseball fan, are going to travel to St. Pete's just for a Rays game. So I think it was kind of a dumb move in there. My opinion, I think they should have placed it in Tampa.
Sam, I mean, I honestly don't know if I could have said it better myself. I mean, obviously, it definitely should have been in Tampa. As you said, I'm someone who wouldn't go on vacation. One of the first things I do is check and see if the home team is in town. Been to a lot of stadiums, and what makes it so convenient is being walking distance from the hotel, being walking distance from downtown of the city where a lot of people stay, right? Not having to, hey, you want to go to the Rays game? Sure. How expensive is the Uber to?
Yeah, exactly.
Like, of course, that stuff matters. And, you know, when turning a new leaf in Rays baseball, as you said, catching the tourist is pretty important. It's during the summer. I mean, obviously, a lot of people go to Florida during the summer. I feel like you could totally capitalize on that. So, yeah, I think it was, again, dumb. I agree. It was dumb to keep it in St. Pete, but obviously it looks fantastic, and I think the kind of the extravagance of it all was able to be achieved because it's in St. Pete. You're probably not doing that in Tampa, but it's a trade-off. I personally probably would have gone location over extravagance.
Yeah,
that is just. And lastly, I don't know if you guys heard, but when the Chiefs played the Bears, there was a star-studded guest in town to watch her new boyfriend.
I think.
Is that a statement of officiality?
First report here on Crunch Time at the N326.
Credit, but Taylor Swift was at the Chiefs game. I don't know if you knew that.
I didn't.
But
thank you.
Dana Riley wants to know, what are our thoughts on Travis Kelce and Taylor Swift?
To be honest with you, Tanner, I did not realize how insane Swifties actually were until Travis Kelce started dating her. I mean, you hear about it, and no doubt crazy, but I've never understood the craziness that is the Swifties. They are insane, to say the least. They love them some Tay-Tay. I mean,
well, does that mean, so if they love them some Tay-Tay, does that mean they hate some Trey?
Well, you think, right? But Travis Kelce didn't crack the top 10 of the NFL's best-selling jersey for 2022, but after 3 weeks, he's at the top. Nearly 400% spike in sales through the Fanatic network of sites after the report that Taylor Swift was at the game. And then obviously we saw her hanging out with Mama Kels. And then not only that, she was wearing some New Balances, red and white New Balances. They pop up they're like the number one selling shoe on New Balance's website. I saw countless Swifties describing football. We all saw the meme of Cam Newton at the Super Bowl, and it's all us regular football fans seeing that infiltration of Taylor Swift. It's wild. That's kind of my main thing. Also, another stat, I think, to be honest, it's the Swifties, man. 24.3 million viewers tuning into this game. Reminder, this was an absolute blowout. I do think Taylor Swift had something to do with that. So it's crazy. Obviously, always have heard how dedicated her fans are, but it really came into fruition for me seeing the impact of her just being in the presence of an NFL game is on kind of everything.
Yeah, I mean, honestly, Dana, my thoughts on them being together, I really don't care.
Yeah,
they're young, they're attractive people. They can do whatever the hell they want. Like, good for both of them. Like, one thing I do want to get straight. I think I've seen a few Swifties act like Travis Kelce is beneath Taylor Swift.
Yeah.
Travis Kelce is a surefire Hall of Famer. Travis Kelce is the second best, if not the best, well, without question, top 3 with Tony Gonzalez and Gronk. Probably top 2, and might even be number 1 in best tight ends to ever do it.
Yeah.
Travis Kelce didn't need Taylor Swift to talk, the talk of the football sphere. However, it doesn't hurt to get Taylor Swift in your corner. So let's just get that straight.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, Swifties are crazy. I don't really know how the dynamic's going to work because she's an Eagles fan.
Yeah.
So obviously
sabotage
with
some
infiltration.
Yeah.
Maybe some infiltration. But however, again, I just don't really care about the relationship. They can do whatever they want. Swifties are crazy. Sam, to end the episode, though, I need your prediction. What's going to be the better combo? Travis Kelce and Taylor Swift, or what's going to be the better combo at the end of the season? Travis Kelce and Taylor Swift, or Jason Kelce and DeAndre Swift?
Oh,
Who's the better Kelce Swift?
that's good.
Who's the better Kelce Swift?
That's good. I like this question. Oh man. You know, I think Taylor knew Travis was trouble when he walked in.
Let's go.
So give it DeAndre Swift and Jason.
Okay.
I mean, they're killing it. I mean, look what they did to the Vikings.
Dude, that's not nice. We look at who did what. What did Travis Kelce do to the Eagles last year, right? In the Super Bowl. So
Yeah.
I'll
There you go.
Travis Kelce and Taylor Swift. Why the hell?
There you go.
Hard hitting analysis to end
Yeah.
the episode. But that is going to wrap it up for episode 103. Pretty long episode. Got a lot of good stuff in there. Talked about the great college football slate. Talked about our teams. A rough weekend for the boys this past weekend. Talked about the trouble that's going on with Iowa football. Just the broken record that it is, the problems with the coaching staff, the nepotism that is so clear. But of course, we went into our pick'em. Sam has a 1-point lead and finished off with some questions. But before the official sign off, big announcement. We talked about our merch, right? We've showed it on the YouTube. If you are not watching the YouTubes, you should. We have sweatshirts, long sleeve shirts, t-shirts, hats. Well, our merch store is officially live. You can find the link in the description below. We've also tweeted it. It's on our Instagram. You can find it all over.
It's in our bio if you miss the tweets. But yeah, it's in there. Our link tree has it. A lot of good stuff, so make sure to check it out for sure.
Make sure to check it out. Let us know if you get anything. We will shout you out on the pod if you do. That is going to wrap it up for episode 103. The clock has run out on this episode, but we'll see you in the next one on Crunch Time.
Yar.